everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, I did want to welcome everybody back, but I also wanted to remind everybody to please subscribe and ring that bell to get notifications for new videos. Today's topic might be a little controversial, and I wanted to say this before I say anything else. The information that I'm about to give you is based on the experience that I have had, my own experience. I'm not a physician, I am not a medical professional, and I'm no way one of the people that you should be listening to for medical advice. Like I say, I'm not a doctor. But the things I want to share are based on my experience with using OZEMPIC, and these are the things that I have found that have worked for me. So if you are in the same boat with the same symptoms that I'm going to describe, please reach out to your healthcare professional and get some more information before starting on this the diet that I'm about to describe. Okay, so I had a mishap in the kitchen. That lovely white mug that I had put my tea into had a mishap. My son came into the kitchen. He's like a ninja, a 6-foot ninja. I didn't hear him. I turned around and it scared me, and I spilled tea all over the floor. Anywho, let's get into it. Ooh, that's good. Peppermint tea, herbal, so yummy. Okay. So before I actually get into the nuts and bolts about the diet, and I don't want to use the term diet, it's just basically a food plan that's better for me. Oh, hold on one second. I'm so sorry. So sorry about that. We were having, I don't know what that was. Anyway, getting into it. So this all started back in January of 2024. No, let me go back further. So I have been on Ozempic since like the tail end of last year. I want to say it was maybe September, October when I started taking it. And this is what it was. I started taking it in September, I believe, and I went the month of September on the lowest dosage, which is 0.25. So I did that for a month. I tolerated it fairly well. I still struggled with, nausea and, gastrointestinal issues. I hit the poops a lot. And then when I went to go see her again in October, my doctor raised the dose to 0.50. I got so sick on that dosage. I had the worst experience with nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and it never ended. And it was worse than being on metformin. Metformin sucked. Being on metformin sucked. Like, I was in the bathroom all the time on metformin. This particular dosage was not working for me. So I called my doctor. I was like, listen, I don't know what's happening. What should I do? And she goes, well, let's lower the dosage back to 0.25 and we'll stay there until we do your next round of blood work, before next round of A1C and all your blood work for that. I'm like, sure, that's cool, no problem. Sorry, tea sip. So I do that. I go back down to the 0.25 and everything is hunky-dory. I feel okay. I'm still I'm still having issues with diarrhea, but not as badly. I still am slightly nauseous when I wake up in the morning, but not as bad. And I go on with my life. I started this new job, and it was great, and I'm so excited to be there. My first day on this new job, I unfortunately was still so sick I had to go home and throw up at home. That was really embarrassing, but that hasn't happened since, thank God. So fast forward, I had an incident happen at school that put me into an urgent care one day. And the doctor I'm speaking to at urgent care, we're going over all of my history. He's like, what are your medications? And I'm telling him all my meds. And I get to Ozempic, and he's like, what dose are you on? I was like, 0.25. And he goes, you just started. And I was like, well, no. And I went into it with him. I was like, I was doing fine, and then my doctor upped my dosage, and then I started getting really, really sick, and so we put me back down. So we're just like waiting and seeing how my next blood panels come back. And he was like, oh, sounds like you have gastroparesis. I was like, I'm so sorry. He's like, it sounds like you have diabetic neuropathy in your intestines, which is causing you to have gastroparesis. What? Now how do I fix that? He goes, oh, you can't. I was like, oh my God. Now, that was not the reason why I was at the doctor's office. So I was like, okay, scratch that. Let's just fix the issue that I came in for tonight, because, you know, I would like to get home at some point today. So we do that, but I cannot stop thinking about what he said. So when I get home, I take Advil, I go to bed, because I didn't go to work the next day due to the reason. I'm not going to get into it right now because it was just an unfortunate situation, but I didn't go to work the next day. And so when I didn't go to work the next day, I started researching everything about gastroparesis. And so you can do the same research yourself, but basically what it turned out to be is that gastroparesis is pretty similar to the symptoms that you're going to have with Ozempic. It acts almost like a it's like your gastrointestines are, it's like your intestines are paralyzed. I don't know why I couldn't get that out, but it acts as if like your intestines are paralyzed. So when you are on Ozempic, the food just sits there. And when you have gastroparesis, the food just sits there. What happens is that it takes, it's a similar effect where it's slow to empty your intestines. And so what happens with that is that given the types of food you eat, you either are going to have a really solid situation when it comes out, or you're going to be left with feeling nauseous, having diarrhea, vomiting, all that jazz. So I did a little bit more research into that, and I discovered that one of the food plans that doctors typically recommend to somebody that has actual gastroparesis is to go on a low fiber diet. Right? That is the antithesis of everything that you were ever taught when you have diabetes. You're like, make sure you get plenty of fiber, make sure you get plenty of protein, make sure you're eating fruits, vegetables, lay off of bread. And I'm like, I don't get this. But you know what? I'm willing to give it a shot if it alleviates my nausea and my diarrhea from being on Ozempic. Okay. So I decided to kind of go off of what I was learning from the gastroparesis. There was a gastroparesis website. I found it. I will find it and I will link it in the description box below. But I'll also link the other articles I read about it, which also recommends doing a low fiber diet. And I'll link all these other great websites that show what's the best things to eat. So for me, because I do have type 2 diabetes, it's very important to get plenty of protein, and it is important to get a decent amount of fiber. But when I was reading like what is low fiber, I realized that there's a bunch of food that I was always told that I should eat that's really, really good for you that I no longer can eat. Like number one, I no longer eat oatmeal. I have it in the house because my son doesn't have gastroparesis, so I make him a bowl of oatmeal every Friday. I'll just say this. These are the things that I no longer eat now that I've done all my research regarding Ozempic and gastroparesis and what I should be eating. So this is what I no longer eat. I no longer eat oatmeal. I no longer eat popcorn. I no longer drink soda. That one was hard. But while all of this is going on, I'm noticing that I start having really bad heartburn. and it is like all in my throat all the time. And I'm like, I hate this. So what do I do? So I stopped drinking soda was a big one. I stopped eating fried foods, like deep fried foods. My air fryer is my best friend. Yeah, Red and I, we're good buds. So I typically air fry most of my food. I've increased, which is gonna sound weird, I now eat bread. I haven't increased, but I eat a sandwich typically every day for lunch. I eat bread, I eat rice, I eat rice, like real rice cereal, like the puffed rice. So I started incorporating that into my diet. I have a smoothie every morning with lactose-free, reduced-fat milk, cottage cheese, reduced-fat cottage cheese, but it is high protein. That a cup, I think it's like half a cup of cottage cheese is like 13 grams of protein. So I make that for me and my son in the morning. And I also sneak in vegetables because it's the only way I can get him to eat vegetables. But I have low fiber indicated fruits. So I eat pineapple. I make this really great chocolate pineapple smoothie for us in the morning that is cottage cheese, milk, frozen pineapple, spinach. And if I remember to toss in carrots, I'll toss carrots in there. And like maybe like half a tablespoon of just regular cocoa powder. You can add sweetener if you want, but the pineapple itself is so sweet, you typically don't need it. So I've started just researching the heck out of all of the foods that I typically would like to eat that do have high fiber. Like I was like a raw apple girly. I'd eat them twice a day and they were making me sick. And it's not necessarily the actual like meat of the fruit. So it's not the actual like apple itself, it's the skin. So I can still eat those. I don't eat them as much, but I've started replacing that with just applesauce, unsweetened regular applesauce. Same thing with pears. Like if you can find pear sauce, do that. Make your own, but just make sure that you peel off all of the skin. Sorry, I couldn't think of that word. But typically for me now, what I do is I go off of all of the fruits and vegetables that have nothing higher than 2 grams of fiber in them, which ironically is a lot of them. Apples and pears do have low fiber content, but it's not necessarily the apple itself, it's the skin, like I said. So don't eat the skin off those. But, I've also started that I never thought I could eat are avocados. Like I haven't eaten an avocado in so long because it used to just upset my liver. But now that I'm no longer eating, oh, the other thing, I've stopped eating fried foods. Did I mention that? I don't know if I did, but I stopped eating anything that's deep fried. Deep fried food, I no longer eat. Because quite honestly, it was making me so sick. So sick, you guys. It was absolutely awful. I hated it. So once I started doing that eating plan, so to speak, I still ate generally anything I wanted, but I was, I kept, I drank a ton of, I still do. I drink a ton of water. I don't drink soda anymore. I have a cup of coffee. I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning. So I don't drink a ton of caffeine anymore. This is herbal tea, caffeine free, peppermint. It's so tasty. And I just really stick to fruits and vegetables that are low fiber. So basically what that is like, you want to have a low fiber, low residue diet when you have gastroparesis. But because the side effects of OZEMPIC can also mimic that, I was like, well, let me try this. Let me try it. Let me see how it goes. So I did it. I did it the wrong way. I didn't talk to my doctor about it prior to. I was like, well, I'm still having such a hard time. So I started implementing that into my everyday diet. I have a sandwich every day with a little avocado, a little turkey. I still have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches periodically, but I eat the low sugar uh, jam or jelly, and I get the strawberry one. Um, and that's really low in fiber. One of the things that they do recommend is nut butters. And these are the ones that I read on the website. So they do recommend like smooth nut butter. So you can still have peanut butter, which is great because I'm a peanut butter fiend. You can still have yogurt. Bananas was actually one of the top recommended fruits. So I wasn't eating bananas for the longest time because I was like, I'm the only one that eats them. But now I'm like, well, I'm the only one that eats them, so I'll just buy them again. So I started doing that. And this is what happened. I lost 10 pounds without really trying. And this, bear in mind, I'm eating anything I want within that the context of that food plan. I eat anything I want. As long as it's a low fiber situation, great. But I lost 10 pounds without trying. My intestines feel so good. I don't wake up. I don't know if anybody else this happens to with the Ozempic. It's like I would wake up with the burps, and it would be that nausea burp that you like taste the nasty vomit. And I was doing that pretty consistently. But since I stopped like eating anything that's high fat and like high fiber, everything has like gotten to the point where it's just like evened out, and I feel so much better. So typically for breakfast, I'll just take you through a whole day. So typically for breakfast, I will have a cup of coffee and I will have a smoothie, low fiber, high protein, low fat. So I do that. For lunch is typical for me. I'll have a sandwich with, I stopped using mayonnaise and I stopped using like typical spreads, but I will do avocado because the fats in those are really, really healthy, and they are actually, they're really good for you. And also, eating avocado really used to make my liver hurt because I have a fatty liver, but like even changing that to like, even changing to a low fiber diet, like I have not noticed like any type of like flare up with the fatty liver. So I'll do that. And then I have typically a piece of fruit, and I make these peanut butter chocolate chip dates, which are really good. So I'll take a date, I'll depit it, I'll put some peanut butter and like 2 dark chocolate chips in there. Really tasty. And then sometimes I have a vegetable. I'm really bad about, because I put all my vegetables in my smoothie, so I typically get plenty of vegetables. And then for dinner, I usually have like just some protein with a side of something. Typically it's like a salad, and even that, like with my salads, I've been particularly persnickety about what I put in them. So it's just like, for me, it's just typical, just lettuce with maybe some croutons, and I make a really like simple version of a dressing. It's just like lemon juice, some salt, some pepper, and a little olive oil. So it's not, it's not crazy, but that's what I'll do. And I've been feeling so much better. So fast forward to my last doctor's appointment with my doctor, and this is what we found out. Due to taking the Ozempic, my A1C went from an 11.9 to a 7.9, which is amazing. But we've also noticed a bunch of other things that have happened due to this change. My blood pressure has also regulated. My blood pressure has regulated for the first time in a really long time. It's normal. And I've been taking blood pressure medication for like the last maybe 20 years, but it finally got to the point where, I'm chilled out enough. There's so many things that have happened. Like, I changed my job, my mental health has gotten a lot better. So needless to say, there probably are some other factors that have like brought my blood pressure down, but she also said that it could be because of the diet. What other thing happened? It was like interesting to me. I don't remember. Anyway, so that's when I started telling her that this is what I'd started doing. Due to, that was weird. I don't know what happened. But you know, due to everything that I was experiencing, and I told her, I was like, with everything that happened with the up, this is what I started doing. So this is where we're at now. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I am so sorry about that. That was so weird. So this is where we're at. So I'm still only taking the 0.25 milliliters with the OZEMPIC. I have to do another round of labs this month, and then we're going to talk about, after she looks at those labs, we're going to talk about whether we're going to raise it to 0.5, because right now, oh, the other thing, sorry, that was the other thing, my blood sugars. So with changing this diet from not being so like hardcore on fiber, I seriously thought that my blood sugars were going to be affected majorly. They have not been. They've been really good. They haven't been higher. They haven't been higher than like 105. Wait, no, I had a 109, but they haven't been above that, like ever since this happened, which was in January. It's March, early March now. So all of that has changed. So that's where I am. And that's my experience with this. So I really want to hear from you to find out if anybody else has also found this out, and if this is something that you've also started to do. Please comment. I would love to hear everybody else's experience. And if this is something that you feel like you want to try, talk to your doctor first. Please talk to your doctor first. Please don't do what I did. I kind of got yelled at, but I'm glad I did, because it really made like the difference. It made a humongous difference with how I've been feeling. So that's where we're at with that. I will actually follow up once I have, well, I'll probably do another bunch of videos before that, but I will, I'm definitely going to do a follow-up video to this once I actually have, you know, the appointment with my doctor to find out where we're at with that, and see if she raises the Ozempic and see how I feel. But I really want to hear from everybody else to see how you guys feel about it, and just give me like tips and tricks, like what you've done to kind of combat the Ozempic barfies, or, you know, poops, as it were. But that's what has worked for me, and that's what's been working well. But I would love to hear from everybody to find out where you're at and how you're feeling with it. Okay, that's gonna do it for me, because I'm at the point where I need to start making dinner for me and my son. The husband's out this evening. He's got a lacrosse scrimmage. Okay, thanks so much for stopping by. I really enjoyed it. I'll be back with more videos, but for now, have a great night. Love you guys. Bye.